internet friends, my name is Catherine and I'm the human behind creation Miss Couture. In today's episode of In the Dye Pan, we are going to overdye some roving. So overdyeing is usually when there's already some dye in the fibers or in the yarn that you are working with. The reason I want to attempt overdyeing is simply because sometimes when you go on, for example, Knitpic's website, they have tons of things that are on sale. So you can take advantage of said sale and buy some bare yarn or bare roving, but you can also sometimes get cheaper prices for roving that is already dyed, but you can create something very fun and unique with it that way, and you don't always want to purchase like a wholesale quantity of bare stuff, or you just can't afford at that time and things like that. So you can always overdye things, so that's what we're going to be working on today. So we're starting off by adding our acid into the pan, and we're going to be adding I would say 18 cups of tap water into the dye pan. The reason we're doing everything into the dye pan is because we want to avoid felting when it comes to fibers. Because what's the worst enemy of fibers when it comes to felting? It's too much movement when it's wet, and also temperature shock. So this is why we are adding tap water. So we're working with Wool of the Indies. This is from Knitpick, and that color is slightly heathered, which I'm curious to see if we're going to see anything go through with the colors. So we're going to be placing the fibers into the pan, and then we're going to be letting it sink into the water and let the water absorb the and letting the fiber absorb the water. So it shouldn't take too long, because there's a lot of room, there's a lot of air into that fiber compared to the merino top combs I've been working with lately. So it's quite nice because you can work with it a little faster. So there's roughly 100 grams of fiber into the pan now, and I'm just trying to add a little bit of water right now. Since I'm going to be working with dry powder, I will have my ventilator mask on so I don't breathe any of the dye, which we do not want. You can already see how much air there is in through that fiber, because you can already see that I'm sunking some of that of the water in the fiber. So okay, stop manipulating it. And I don't know if I've mentioned already, but usually when I'm filming stuff, afterwards I will just go into my home office and just put out a draft. So it's basically just putting all the clips that I'm going to be working with, and I forget what I'm doing until the moment I come back to to work with it. So apparently I've worked with that like that. I don't know. I was on a kick. So I'm turning on the heat at a low temperature to have the dye absorb slowly but surely, because we don't want a temperature shock like I've mentioned earlier. So it's important to do it slower compared to superwash fibers or superwash yarn, because we don't want to create that temperature shock and have that felting happening. And I'm going for a rainbow combo. So basically what's going to happen is I'm going to be using my dry powders directly onto the fibers. I will use my blue, pink, and yellow to create a rainbow on the fiber. So color theory here, when the blue will mix with the yellow, it will create some some green, and when the pink touch the yellow, it will create orange. So the transition colors will be more subtle, but they will still be there. So it's going to be quite interesting to see the final result. So now I'm going in with my pinks. I will have, as usual, in the description box, the links for the dry powder, and I'll also have an affiliated link for the Wool of the Indies roving I'm using in the video. So if you want to try to do something at home, you can. What I'm going to do is I'm going to massage the dry powder into the fibers a tiny bit, but not too much, because like I said, I want to avoid too much felting or like too much manipulation. Oh wow, I have a hard time today. I'm sorry about that. So you can already see like the greens that are created with the yellow and the blue, and you can see the orange appearing as well with the yellow and the pink. So color theory, super fun. It's one of the things that is nice and important to know about dyeing yarn is color theory. So you need to know your acid percentage and all of that, but you also need to make sure that you know that you know your color theory so you don't cancel out anything else. So we're going to be leaving the fiber in the pan for about half an hour, and then after the half hour we will turn off the heat, and we will let it cool down for about 45 minutes to an hour, depending on like how hot it still is, because we want to avoid any shock temperature and everything, and too much manipulation when it comes to cleaning it up. And then after, I will show you the final result of this beautiful fiber. So when it comes to washing fiber, I'm always careful. Okay, so in the pan you can see that there's some pink and blue. It's something that I was expecting, because pink, like, those are fluorescent pigments, which means that usually I have a harder time getting them to settle properly. Well, not properly, that's not a right word. It's just that they have a tendency to bleed no matter what you do. So no matter the quantity of dry powder you use to create your stock solution, like, they usually will have a hint of the color in the dye pan left behind. So I'm always assuming that there will be bleeding. And it's the same thing for you. If you purchase yarn or fiber that is looking neon, you should be aware that it will most likely bleed when you are doing your wet block. So if you don't want too much bleeding, use a color catcher in the bath that you're using for your blocking, or you can always do a steam block instead of a wet block, depending on like what you're doing. And you can see I'm very afraid to do anything with it. There is blue in the water, so I will have to rinse that off. I don't want to agitate too much the water, so that's why you don't see me push the liquid out too much. And I'm trying to avoid as well putting the water directly on the fiber, so I'm doing it like on the corners and to make sure that like I avoid the fiber directly. But you know, it's all fun and games until it felt, right? And the water is so cold. You can see my fingers are completely red, and it's winter here, which means that my tap water is like so cold. Oh, okay, I'm very happy with how it's turning out. Yeah, I'm going to do one last bath with the fiber, and we should be good to go, because I don't see any more pink. I see a light tint of blue, but that's to be expected with blue, especially with blue with some fluorescent pigment in it. Did you know that there's no natural fluorescent blue pigment that we can find? At least, as far as I know, there's no natural blue fluorescent pigment that we can find in dyes. They have to add it separately, like in the blend, compared to some other pigments, which which is fun. All right, into the spin dryer we goes. And here's our final result. This is so pretty. So you can see that we've lost most of the purple that was in the bare fibers earlier, but we have some really great and vibrant colors, which I'm very happy because when it comes to untreated yarn or untreated fibers, sometimes it can be slightly duller in not duller, dull in the color compared to superwash yarn, compared to colors like that. So I'm very, very happy with this one. And honestly, I think I'm going to try to recreate that with a white fiber so that way I can see how vibrant we can actually get this. So stay tuned for that because it will come at some point. And once again, thank you so much for watching. I'm very appreciative of that. If you've liked it, please consider liking the video, sharing the video, and if you want to follow the journey, consider subscribing. So thanks for watching, and I will see you very soon.